Hi, I'm Lizzie and this is Laura, and we've recently spent 7 nights on board Cunard's Queen Anne. We stayed in a balcony cabin on deck 8, which was cabin number 8027. We will take you on a quick tour around the cabin and then give you a review on all of our feelings.
Stateroom 8027 is a BE category Britannia Balcony Cabin located in the forward area of deck 8 on Queen Anne. As you enter the cabin, you will find the usual safety information on the back of the door. To your right, you will find the air conditioning control panel, your main light switches and a keycard slot which controls the power. You will then come to your bathroom, which we really liked. There is a decent amount of space in here and it is finished to a high standard. Inside the shower, there are Penhaligon's toiletries provided, including shampoo, conditioner and body wash. The shower itself is roomy, has good water pressure, and we were pleased to see a glass cubicle rather than a shower curtain. The sink area has a really nice design and finish, however the shelving and storage is quite limited with only 3 small glass shelves. On these glass shelves you'll find more Penhaligon's products including liquid soap and body lotion. There is an additional shelf and your bathroom bin underneath the sink. Back out of the bathroom and on the left hand side of the room there is a good sized triple wardrobe. This wardrobe has a good amount of hanging and shelved space, however we did find the full length hanging space to be a little limited. You'll find your life jackets and safe within these wardrobes. In the main cabin area, you'll see that as well as your usual bed and dressing table, there is a small lounge area with a sofa and table. We had the bed set up as twins for this sailing and we found the gap to be sufficient. You can also choose to have a double bed. Opposite the bed, you'll find a wall-mounted television. To the right of the bed, there is an additional narrow wardrobe which had a removable bar halfway down that could be used for either longer or shorter hanging items. Each of the beds has its own small bedside table, as well as a lamp and reading light. There are also sockets for charging your devices on both sides of the bed, including USB-A and C and US and UK plug sockets. The dressing table is well designed if a little compact. You will also find a further UK and US plug socket in this area, which is very handy for getting ready. The cupboard contains your cabin mini fridge, which is standard sized. We found that it chilled our drinks well, but it did have a mini bar set up inside. Out on the balcony, there are 2 reclining chairs and a small table. The balcony is a good size, but we did think the table could have been bigger.
As Laura has previously stayed in a balcony cabin on board Queen Anne, we were slightly concerned about the lack of space to hang up long dresses. There has previously been 2 bars in the wardrobe, which then cuts it in half. And it's not just our formal night dresses that would be long, we would have other clothing that is long too. We were pleasantly surprised when we got into the cabin to see that the cabin steward had moved one of the bars, so this gave us plenty of space to be able to hang all of our longer dresses.
Another bit of space that we were kind of aware would be limited was the dressing table area. We just found this was a little bit too small for 2 of us to use. We obviously both have our own cosmetics and things like that, and there wasn't enough space on here to keep them.
We had requested that our beds be set up in a twin configuration, which had happened when we got on board. Previously for Laura, this was quite close together, but they'd actually put the bedside table in the middle of the 2 beds this time, so there was a bigger space. We found the beds were very, very comfortable and the sheets are of a really good quality, and we had some really good night's sleeps in this bed.
Underneath the beds there was plenty of space to store our suitcase. However, as we did have an additional small cabin case, we had to keep this one in the corner of the room because there wasn't enough room for a second suitcase under either of the beds.
As with lots of other new ships, the socket and USB situation was very good. There was a USB-C socket by each of the beds, which meant we could charge our phones and other things really easily, and there were a decent amount of sockets by the dressing table for us to use hairdryer and straighteners.
The mini fridge did contain a mini bar setup, which meant unfortunately there wasn't a lot of room in there to add your own items. We did hear of other passengers on board the ship asking for this to be removed, and their cabin steward said that they weren't able to do that. We did find this a bit irritating, as this fridge was so packed that often if we would open it to take something out, everything would fall out. So don't expect to be able to store a lot of items in that fridge.
In the bathroom, again, we found storage was a bit of an issue. There really wasn't a lot of space around to leave all of your toiletries. We have learnt this over the years of cruising, that this can sometimes be a problem in a cruise ship bathroom. So we always have a bag that you can hang on the hook on the back of the bathroom door, and this meant then that we didn't have to worry about storage.
We thought the shower inside this bathroom was a good shower. Also, there was plenty of space in there, almost a little bit too much space when you considered how big the cabin itself was. The water was of decent pressure and it did exactly what we needed it to do.
We really quite like the decor of the cabin. We like the touches of the darker colours in there, and I particularly like the artwork of the ship on the wall in there. It looked very classy. We weren't a massive fan of the carpet though. We felt like it looked a bit like Greg's.
The location of this cabin was also pretty good. It was between two cabin decks, so we didn't get a lot of noise from anywhere at all. It was very quiet. The only thing we would say is it was on quite a high deck, and often the passenger lifts were very, very busy, particularly on embarkation and disembarkation day. So if you think you're going to struggle with the stairs, I would absolutely make sure that you choose a cabin on a lower level.
Overall, we were quite big fans of this cabin and liked a lot of it. We found it was a very well appointed cruise ship cabin, apart from maybe some of the storage issues, but it wasn't really a problem because we know lots of little tips to keep ourselves a bit tidier. We would not hesitate booking this cabin again.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give this video a like and drop any questions you've got in the comments down below. Please do also make sure that you're subscribed to our channel. You can also find us on social media by searching Sisters on the Seas.